His typically rigid posture wavers. Is something else of his rigid as well? Because I would like to see. Hello, and welcome to the Winter Wedding. This is a horror Omegaverse dating sim in which you are the ruler of an estate attempting to weather your relationship with your stern butler Tristian and your incredibly arrogant fiancé Oscar, both of whom are alphas that hate each other. Let's get started. Oh yeah, we can customize our appearance. I will go with the right. Type in your username, we are going to use Winter. 10 days left until your wedding. Also guys, I am sick and I have a sore throat, so apologies if my voice acting is a little bit off today. I hope it's alright. Winter, not exactly your favorite season, though you've always found it soothing to watch snowflakes fall and evaporate against the warm glass on the window. You're never one of those children eager to rush outside for a snowball fight or to build snowmen, so when your nanny said that your overprotective parents wouldn't allow it because of your frail health, you didn't feel particularly disappointed. Now there's no one left to enforce such rules, and that's one of the reasons Winter is so sorrowful for you. Your father was never much interested in winter sports, but you know he couldn't resist your mother's persistence. That persistence ultimately cost them their lives when the ice on the frozen lake suddenly gave way beneath them while they skated. By the time they were pulled from the water, it was too late for anything to be done. As you touch the gravestones, even through your gloves you can feel the freezing cold of the marble. I guess we're starting off on like a sad note. It's already been 5 years since you lost them. Mother. Father, I miss you so much. If only there were a way to stop that accident. To turn back time, but that's impossible. Anyway, I brought you some beautiful flowers. You carefully place the white lilies on the grave, speckled here and there with patches of snow. The harsh snowflakes sting your face, threatening to bury the flowers completely under the white blanket before long. Feeling the need to leave soon, you cast one last glance at the grave, and in the blink of an eye, the white lilies are no longer white but soaked in vivid crimson blood, seeping from the grave itself. Ooh, I like a bit of gothic horror. What? Your heartbeat quickens, and your breath forms a white mist that clouds your vision. Even so, the red is so intense that it overwhelms you. Your head spinning, your knees buckling. Just as you're about to collapse, a strong arm catches you by your shoulder. Turning your gaze, you find Tristian standing beside you. Oh, he's so hot. Oh my god. Your butler. Oh my god, can he be more than my butler? Oh, that jawline, those eyes. Makes me weak. Oh, look at that pose. He's also so much bigger than us too. Hey, yo. Also, the description says that this is a Omegaverse, and we are an Omega. His attentive eyes shift between you and the grave as they're trying to discern the source of your distress. There's no trace of alarm or confusion in his demeanor. Frantically, you glance back at the grave. The lilies are as white as when you left them. No trace of the blood remains. Are you alright, my lord? Is something the matter? I'm fine, Tristian. Just a little dizzy, that's all. So then, a fleeting hallucination. You can't exactly say it's the first time. You never fully recovered since losing your family. You must have been affected by the cold. For a moment, you can't help but feel uneasy at the way his gaze sharpens, as if he's aware of what you're thinking. Maybe you can smell it off me because I'm an Omega. Now is certainly not the time to meet with another new doctor who promises to cure you with their sedatives. Thankfully, the familiar steadiness in his voice soon puts you at ease. Shall we head back to the carriage, my lord? Please, hold on to me tightly. I'll do more than just hold on to you tightly, Tristian. With Tristian's help, you make your way out of the eerily silent cemetery and to the carriage waiting for you. We're returning to the manor. The roads may be icy. Drive carefully. The coachman nods quickly and takes his seat. Everyone seems eager to leave this place. Everyone except you. Your attention is momentarily distracted by the stark white of the gloves covering Tristian's outstretched hands as he helps you step into the carriage. White lilies were your mother's favorite. You recall how she'd always pick the most beautiful one from every bouquet and tuck it into your hair with a smile. But after that hallucination, perhaps it's best to choose a different flower for your wedding bouquet. You don't want to falter at the altar and embarrass yourself in front of everyone. My lord, if you could hurry. I think I dropped my handkerchief at the grave. Feigning a flustered expression, you press your hand against your bag. The handkerchief is right there. If we leave a message with the caretaker, it should reach the manor within a few days. Oh, but it was a gift from Oscar. You notice a momentary pause in Tristian's expression, unaccustomed as he is to hearing you mention your fiancé's name so openly. I'll fetch it immediately, my lord. Please, wait in the car. No, let's go together. I'd like to see my parents one last time. Tristian's questioning gaze meets yours, but you rather seem sentimental than paranoid, given the thoughtful and caring attitude your parents have always shown towards you. You were certain no one would find you unjust. You know Tristian, known for his calm demeanor and logical approach, isn't exactly pleased with your request, but refusing you isn't an option. As my lord wishes, if you'll excuse me. Without waiting for a reply, he adjusts the loosened collar of your coat with a practical air. Unlike you other coachmen, he seems completely unaffected by the cold. In moments like these, you can't help but wonder if he truly is. Once he's finished, Tristian turns to the coachman. Keep the horses ready. The coachman's silent nod betrays his discontent. But whatever the case, you're certain he'd rather be anywhere than in Tristian's place. The sudden violent gust of wind forces you to cling tightly to Tristian, relying on his strength and warmth as much as you can. When you finally reach your family's grave, nothing appears out of the ordinary at first glance. We must move quickly, my lord. The weather is worsening. You know he's more concerned about you than himself. You can't help but silently berate yourself for your impulsive decision. Perhaps it really is time to meet with a new doctor. The handkerchief isn't here. Let's go back. Wait a moment, Tristian. What's this flower? Amidst the bouquet of white lilies you left on the grave so easily scattered by the wind, one vibrant red flower stands out. As he pulls it free, Tristian's eyes narrow slightly. It appears to be a crimson lily, my lord. The hallucination you saw earlier flashes vividly in your mind, sending a shiver down your spine. But what's it doing here? It was likely mixed in by mistake when the bouquet was prepared, my lord. He reached for the crimson lily in his hand, examining it closely. It's identical to the white lilies you selected for your family, except for its color. Oh, no, I remember the bouquet perfectly. This isn't possible. In that case, perhaps it was blown over here by the wind from another grave. Look, all the flowers on that grave over there are red. Curiosity and determination compel you to rise on your tiptoes trying to see the grave Tristian is pointing out. Indeed, on the snowy hill there are red specks, but you're not as convinced as Tristian that they're the same flower, or even flowers at all. At that moment, your careless stance catches up with you and your foot slips. In a desperate attempt to keep from falling, you grab onto Tristian's coat. For the first time, you manage to catch him off guard. His typically rigid posture wavers, and he leans towards you. Is something else of his rigid as well? Because I would like to see. You find his face suddenly, startlingly close to yours. Wow! Though his lips remain perfectly composed. His golden eyes flicker with an unusual, unreadable glimmer. If it's important to you, my lord, I can inspect every grave here, one by one. Your entire body heats with mortification, enough to make you momentarily forget the cold. With his help, you manage to regain your balance once more. No, it's okay, Tristian. I don't want to make you do that. No, it's not important. You've been foolish. There's no way you truly believe the white lilies you left behind have changed color. As you take Tristian's offered arm, you feel something new. Embarrassment mixed with these feelings stay with you until you settle in the carriage waiting at the entrance of the cemetery. The warmth of the enclosed space offers only slight comfort, especially with Tristian sitting directly across from you. His presence is a constant, his sharp eyes ever watchful. You're aware of the situation. Traveling alone with a servant is hardly appropriate for someone like you. But since Tristian's arrival, he's been far from an ordinary butler. To the other staff and to you, he gives his Sebastian vibes. You haven't been sleeping well lately, my lord. If there's anything besides the upcoming wedding troubling you, please don't hesitate to tell me. Your expression hardens reflexively. Daisy told you this, didn't she? Daisy, your maid, listens to him more than she listens to you, much to your ongoing frustration. I will dismiss her as soon as we return to the manor. For the first time in what feels like forever, a faint smile crosses Tristian's face. As you wish, my lord. I'll make sure a replacement with all the necessary qualities is arranged promptly. That's precisely the problem. You doubt any new maid, no matter how reserved, would dare to defy him. Tristian is too commanding for a servant, and you far too compliant for a master. Still, his flawless management of the estate over the past 5 years has left no room for complaint even from you. The sound of hooves crunching through snow fills the silence. My lord, you asked what was keeping me awake at night. Tristian narrows his eyes slightly. Ah, I see. The house from the forest near the manor, perhaps. It feels like they're howling louder than ever these nights. I'll arrange for hunters from the nearby village to deal with it, my lord. You needn't concern yourself. Thank you. If that's all that truly keeps you up. I mean, something else keeps me up. You? And you not being in my bed? Your voice rises unintentionally. What do you mean by that, Tristian? Perhaps you should consider postponing the wedding, my lord. I only suggest this because winters are particularly hard on your health. Something else could be hard on me as well, Tristian, but you're still over there and not over here. Forgive me if I've overstepped. Your brows knit together in irritation, yet you can't immediately find the words to refute him. Oscar is a noble alpha, and you, a noble Omega. Marrying Oscar isn't about love, it's an obligation. Like every other inexplicable, unshakable duty in your world. You know neither you nor your fiancé truly has a say in this. Postponing the wedding will only temporarily mask this reality. Still, you sense that Tristian's words might be hinting at your passiveness in this situation. Thank you for thinking of me, Tristian. But I'm well enough. Everything should proceed as planned. Since you avert your gaze, you can't quite make out the expression on Tristian's face. However, the unusually soft tone in his voice proves that he's only thinking of you as a good steward would. As you wish, my lord. Everything will proceed as it should. As the time passes, you hear the eerie creak of the wrought iron gates surrounding the estate's grounds. The sound signals the end of your journey. Descending from the carriage, you clutch your bag tightly. Hidden beneath your handkerchief lies the crimson lily you found at the grave. Why did I bring it back with me? Also, I am in the way. I'm gonna move myself. The dark silhouette of the manor greets you with all its gloom in the middle of the white landscape. Even though this has disturbed you since childhood, you cannot deny that over the years it has unintentionally bound you to this place. When your fiancé expressed his desire to live here after your marriage, enjoying the manor's atmosphere is one of the few decisions you made together. Due to its age and size, the manor has never been adequately warm or well lit. Still, as you step inside, the familiar sense of comfort and security relaxes you. Your maid Daisy hurries over with quick steps to help you out of your thick outerwear. She looks at you with a warm expression, as if seeking forgiveness for some unspoken guilt. Shall I prepare your bath? You decide to set aside the topic of a new maid for now. Yes, please. As you climb the stairs, you overhear Tristian giving her instructions. Make sure the bath is properly heated. Also bring chamomile tea with honey and lemon. Without a single protest, Daisy bows to him in a manner she's clearly accustomed to, and a flicker of rebellion ignites within you. However, it extinguishes as soon as you step into the corridor at the top of the stairs and head to your room. You're too tired to challenge the established order in the manor. It's a fatigue that's been intensifying in recent days, robbing you of restful sleep. It feels as if every step you take tightens invisible chains weighing you down, forcing you to stop. You try and tell yourself that it's just wedding stress, unless you don't have a more reasonable explanation for it. Not yet. The oppressive silence of the manor, filled only with the sound of crackling fire within distant footsteps, is suddenly interrupted by the creak of a door. Your eyes quickly find your maid who has appeared at the entrance. The bath is ready, my lord. Thank you. I'm coming. As you step into the bathroom, the stifling heat envelops you. It is much warmer and more humid than usual. Steam arises from the water in the tub, filling the room with a pale glow and fogging the windows at the top of the bathroom. How is the temperature, my lord? You want to ask her to open a window, but the warmth quickly surrounds you, spreading to every corner of your body. It's fine. I am glad. The butler mentioned you stayed outside for quite some time. This will do you good. With Daisy's help, you manage to easily slip out of your clothes. The ties of your clothes loosen and fall away. In a short time, a pile of fabric forms at your feet, and you can feel the heat directly on your bare skin. Since it's still light outside, I don't think you'll need many candles. Daisy lights a few candles quickly and then turns to gather the pile of clothes. Would you like me to assist you while you bathe, my lord? Naked and vulnerable, you suppress the chill that rises within you and move towards the tub. No need, Daisy. Thank you. Don't forget to drink your tea. The closing door echoes in the room as Daisy departs. Slowly lowering your body into the warm water, you sink entirely into the tub. At that moment, the pleasant and refreshing aroma from the side of the tub catches your attention. Drink the tea. Despite the tart taste filling your mouth with the first sip, you keep drinking. You're amazed at how well Tristian seems to know exactly what you need. I don't think that's true because I also need him in more ways than one, and he has not given me that yet. Soon, an odd sense of joy fills your mind. It feels as if all the invisible chains that weighed you down have snapped one by one. The approaching wedding, the exhaustion of recent days, the wolves howling through the night, the crimson lilies in the cemetery, the snow-white winter. All of it fades into distant memories in your mind. Your entire body is enveloped in a sweet lethargy. Sleep closes your eyes with pleasant inevitability. You taste peace. When you open your eyes again, you find yourself still in the bathroom. But you can sense something strange even before you see it. Oh no. At first glance, the only noticeable difference is the absence of daylight filtering through the windows above, replaced by shadows cast by the extinguished candles Daisy had lit. You likely dozed off in the bathtub. The air is so stifling it's hard to gauge how much time has passed, but you feel the sharp clarity and freshness that comes after an untimely prolonged rest. Just as you're about to sit up and leave the tub, your gaze falls on the dark silhouette by the edge of the tub. Wait, what? It doesn't take long to realize that the shadow is actually a large face with a wide toothy grin, leaning against your bathtub. Excuse me, why is a ghost watching me bathe? Fear courses through your veins, pumping adrenaline to every corner of your body. The reverberation of the voice against the walls is unsettling, yet oddly it comforts you. Extending your hand out of the tub, you begin stroking the uninvited guest who have been watching you inappropriately. The creature responds with quick noisy breaths from its nose, expressing its delight. What are you doing here, Snow? Snow is one of the few things you love about winter. A few years ago, during an incredibly harsh winter, you followed faint pitiful whimpers outside the manor, and found Snow buried in a snow-filled pit on the very verge of freezing. Back then, his wet sparse fur was barely distinguishable from the cold. Now it has grown thick and glossy. Maybe something else of Tristian's can also grow thick. As you run your fingers through his fur, you suddenly realize your hand is wet. You pull your hand back. You're soaking wet, Snow. Have you been rolling around in the snow again while I was gone? This discovery dampens your mood and you can't help but grumble. How could I let you outside? You can't even count how many times Snow has slipped out to the forest without anyone noticing. If there's one thing you remember clearly, it's warning everyone in the manor about this repeatedly. Despite his silence, Snow's large eyes remain fixed on you. Don't look at me like that, Snow. The wild wolves in the forest could tear you apart. As you move your hand away from the tub's edge, you notice the trail it leaves behind. Thick dark droplets slowly distort the handprint, and you realize that the substance coating Snow's fur isn't melted snow. Your anger quickly gives way to another emotion. Snow, I can't believe this. What happened to you? An enigmatic expression dominates Snow's shattered face, devoid of pain. Your gaze instinctively shifts from him to yourself, and that's when you realize the truth. The marks don't come from Snow, they come from you. The tub you've been sitting in is filled with blood. No! Your first scream is filled with more than shock than fear. No matter how many times you open and close your eyes, the reality before you doesn't change. This can't be. How could so much blood come from me? You're absolutely certain you don't feel any pain. I'm not injured. You need to get out of the tub immediately. But despite the clarity of your mind, your body refuses to move, frozen like a corpse. And that is the final blow to your control. Help! Daisy! Snow's sharp teeth suddenly clamp down on your bare arm, igniting a new wave of panic. No, Snow, stop, please! Instead of pain or burning, you feel only pressure. As Snow's powerful jaws tighten around your arm. With surprising strength, he manages to drag you out of the tub. Oh, what a good dog! Snow, let me go. If you want to help me, go outside and get someone. No matter what you say, you can't stop him. The liquid from the tub spills onto the floor as you're pulled out, and you feel the sticky blood adhering your body to the ground like glue. Crying and screaming, you have no other option. Please, someone, come here. Isn't anyone there? Snow nudges you a few times with his paws before abandoning his efforts. He circles around you in strange patterns, letting out low agonized whines. The stiffness and coldness enveloping your body, the blood-filled tub, your unheard cries, and Snow's pain growls ignite one singular thought in your mind. As you're trying to escape this reality, you let out one final desperate cry. Tristian! Yes, please come save me, my alpha butler. Tristian! Your voice cuts off abruptly. You have no means left to call for help. At the same moment, Snow gives up his futile struggle and collapses hopelessly to the floor. In the ensuing silence, you see the shadows in the bathroom multiply. Cold. Oh god. Are those my parents? Cold. Darkness. And silence. It feels like the beginning of an eternal sleep. However, everything changes in an instant. The sound of hurried footsteps echoing through the manor filled your ears, and your heart and senses come alive again. As the footsteps rapidly approach, the door suddenly creaks open with a terrifying screech. My lord, it's me. A shadow grows larger before your eyes, obscuring your vision. As you wait in silent anticipation, the softness of a towel wrapping your damp skin reaches you. Immediately after, strong arms lift you effortlessly off the ground. Yinny, may I remind you that you are suffering right now? Everything's fine, my lord. I'm here. Aww, it's so hard not to fall in love with him. Oh, he's so pretty too. Don't be afraid. Though it sounds like a command, his words swiftly slip into your mind, silencing the uncontrollable orchestra of fear inside. Suddenly you feel the weight of the breaths you're taking, and the stiffness in your body quickly dissolves, an involuntary ache spreading through your muscles. A warm shiver runs down your spine from head to toe. What happened here? It's freezing here, my lord, are you alright? The light from the doorway stings your eyes. Even so, you can make out Daisy standing at the door with a lamp in hand, scanning the room in astonishment. The bathtub. The weak sound escapes your lips. Hearing you, Tristian turns his gaze to Daisy. Check the bathtub. You see Daisy hesitantly pointing her lamp at the tub without fully understanding what's going on. Oh, all the water spilled out of the tub, and it's gone cold. Water. The realization reignites everything you thought you had calmed inside. This time, you were sure it wasn't a hallucination. No, impossible. Tristian, put me down. Tristian's amber eyes narrow in suspicion. My lord, I said, put me down. I'll check the tub myself. Let me go. Your impatient outburst draws startled whispers, making you aware of the spectators in the doorway. If everyone in the manor could hear you, why did it take them so long to arrive? Deciding to leave that question for later, you focus on the moment. Tristian finally complies, slowly setting you down from his arms. You take timid steps towards the bathtub, determined. Handing you the lamp, Daisy murmurs hesitantly. What's the matter, my lord? Did you see a mouse? Ignoring her, you firmly direct the lamp's light at the bathtub. But even before you do, a faint glimmer reflecting from the floor proves that only water has spilled from the tub. Looking inside confirms the same. The blood that filled the tub moments ago. Not even a trace remains. So everything that just happened was nothing more than another, no matter how vivid and terrifying it felt. You refuse to believe it. Tristian's calm but stern voice breaks the silence. Did I assign anyone a task that required standing idly at the door? Am I mistaken? The shadows at the doorway quickly scatter as his tone softens slightly, directed at you. You must have had a nightmare, my lord. I think you're right. Please don't be upset. It must have been caused by the sudden change in temperature. Despite the dim light, you can discern the hardening lines on Tristian's face. Luckily, they're not aimed at you. How could you leave my lord alone in the bath for so long? You weren't even aware the fire had gone out. Under Tristian's icy gaze, the poor servant's face turns crimson. Never leave my lord alone under any circumstances. I know my lord is a formality, but when he calls me my lord, it just makes me like, ugh. Or you need to find yourself a new place to work. What are you still waiting for? Take him to the room immediately. Help him dry off and get dressed, and make sure he hasn't been hurt. Not wanting to stay a moment longer in this unsettling place, you hurry to leave. Just as you're about to step out of the room, one of the shadows in the corner moves and lunges at you. You stare at your dog in disbelief, wondering how it managed to stay still and silent in the bathroom until now. Daisy, afraid of upsetting Tristian further, tries to pull Snow away from you. Now's not the time, Snow. Get away immediately. It never listens. Bad dog. Wait, Daisy. Grabbing a towel nearby, you crouch down to Snow under Daisy's astonished gaze and start drying its fur. Did Snow go outside while I was away? The question catches Daisy off guard. No, my lord. As Tristian approaches you, you see her lower her head anxiously, unable to say more. You're certain she's hiding something. Still, you don't want to interrogate her in front of Tristian and prolong the tension of the evening. But then, you notice a dark stain on the towel in your hands. With a momentary hesitation, you lift your gaze to Tristian. His expression, oddly enough, reassures you. At least this time you're sure it wasn't your imagination. Not now. Snow starts panting excitedly again, looking at you intently as if trying to tell you something. Yet despite the insistence in his large bright eyes, he can't convey his message. Tristian's shadow leans over him, shrouding him in darkness. Don't worry, my lord. It seems Snow isn't injured. This blood must have come from somewhere else. His brow furrows as he turns his gaze to Daisy. I told you countless times not to give him bloody raw meat, haven't I? You know it's one of Tristian's rules to tame Snow, who already looks wilder than an ordinary dog. Though you believe there isn't an ounce of savagery in Snow, you never opposed Tristian on this matter, especially since he's always claimed Snow was unsuitable for a life in the manor. It must have been the kitchen staff who gave it to him. I don't know anything. Truly, my lord. Daisy's pleading gaze is hard to ignore. Can this be discussed later? I'm cold. Tristian hesitates briefly before stepping back in a rush. Of course. Forgive me for keeping you waiting, my lord. You can rest assured that such confusion will never happen in the manor again. As you retreat to your room, Daisy carefully dries and dresses you, but your thoughts remain a tangled mess. You can barely follow her words as she continues, her gaze filled with gratitude never leaving you. Believe me, my lord, I came as soon as I heard your voice. I just wanted to tidy up your belongings while you were bathing. I noticed one of your perfumes was almost empty, so I went downstairs to send a servant to order a new one. You know the wedding is approaching and everything must be perfect. Daisy gently rubs ointment over the few bruises on your back and legs caused by your fall on the bathroom's hard floor. As for the strong bite Snow left on your arm, there isn't a single mark. You could have guessed Snow wouldn't do such a thing, now peacefully curled up and sleeping near the roaring fireplace. Catching your gaze on the dog, Daisy immediately speaks up. I had nothing to do with that bloody meal, my lord. Bloody meal? I meant the blood on Snow. Maybe he slipped outside and caught a rabbit or something. I'd never go against Tristian, or rather, your orders. You know at least in this manner she isn't lying. Or more precisely, can't lie. Thank you, Daisy. Since Daisy is taking these marks more seriously than usual due to the approaching wedding, you wait for her to finish her work so you can be alone. Afterwards, you try and process everything that happened during the day. After all, you need to make a decision, eventually. First the blood-stained lilies in the cemetery, then the blood-filled bathtub. They're quite different from the hallucinations you've experienced before. That's why finding a solution doesn't seem as easy as you hoped. If the crimson lily in the cemetery was really dragged from another grave, and Snow just stole raw meat from the kitchen. Oh, what am I even thinking? Of course that must be what happened. I don't think that's what happened. As you try to push these nonsensical thoughts aside and focus on the upcoming wedding, and the details demanding your attention, before long, sleep overtakes you. In the middle of the night, you slip out from beneath your heavy blanket, unsure of what woke you. You approach the window beside your bed and peer outside. The dark forest, where the high garden walls end, is cloaked in eerie stillness and silence tonight. None of the wolves' howls that filled the recent nights have reached your ears now. Stepping away from the window, your gaze returns to your room, warm and brightly lit by the crackling fireplace. Daisy, insistent on not leaving you alone, sleeps peacefully in the chair by the fireplace, her head resting against its back. Snow, curled up at her feet, shares the same tranquility. Despite the nightmare you experienced in the bathtub, you desperately need the peaceful sleep you found there. You start thinking of something that could help you achieve it. Tristian, in my bed? You consider what might help you and think of chamomile tea as your best option. At least for now, a hot bath is out of the question. Not wanting to disturb Daisy's sleep, you decide to head to the kitchen. Someone there is bound to be awake preparing for the day ahead, as work in the kitchen starts earlier than in the rest of the manor. Wrapping yourself in your robe, you quietly slip into the hallway. The oppressive atmosphere of the manor combined with the chill and silence of the night feels overwhelming. You quicken your pace as you descend the stairs and head towards the kitchen. But despite the lit lamps and the boiling pot on the stove, the kitchen is empty. Your steps almost instinctively lead you to the other side of the kitchen, to the open door leading to the corridor where the storage rooms are located. In the dark hallway, you easily spot the only door ajar, light spilling through its gap. However, The sounds coming from inside, moans perhaps, warn you against approaching. What? Tristian, are you polishing your spear? The only thing you're certain of is that Tristian isn't there. Oh! Well, time to approach. You never been one to intrude into the private lives of your staff, but when it comes to Tristian, curiosity and another emotion you can't quite place. I can place it, starts with H and ends with Y, quickly takes hold of you. Even though you know it's wrong, you can't stop yourself. You approach the brightly lit room as quietly as possible and steal a glance through the slightly open door. Tristian stands in the center of the room directly in the path of the light. However, instead of his usual impeccable posture, his body leans towards a man kneeling on the floor. A servant, most likely. Oh man, so he's not polishing the candlestick? You notice the white glove fingertips gripping a whip tightly. Are you starting to regret your disobedience? Or do you need a harsher punishment? You notice the servant's clothes are disheveled. His face is clearly bruised. For a moment you forget to breathe. The servants are sobbing, pleading in a way that almost sounds like a groan. I regret it. I deeply regret it. I'll never do it again, never ever, please forgive me. Tristian straightens up and begins pacing impatiently around the servant, and you manage to make out the silhouettes of other observers on the other side of the dimly lit room. Their trampling breaths the only sound as they try and stay out of Tristian's way. I know your kind well. You don't deserve even the slightest bit of mercy. Tristian suddenly pauses, shifting his gaze from the servant on the floor to scan the room. A cold, chilling smile spreads across his face, one that you've never seen before. Disciplining you requires great patience and punishment. Lucky for you, I have plenty of both. As he finishes speaking, his yellow eyes turn in your direction, and for a moment it feels as though his gaze meets yours. In a panic, you take a step back from the door and retreat a few paces. Your mind races, one torn between running and staying put. But Tristian's authoritative voice reaches your ears once more. But tonight is not the night. Your heart pounds with an odd tension as you make a quick decision and hurry back to the kitchen. You remind yourself that disciplining the staff is part of Tristian's duty as the butler of the manor. Yet there was something in his demeanor, aggressive and ruthless and savage even, that you've never seen in all the 5 years that you've known him. I wonder if he can be like that, in bed. Now you no longer question why Daisy is so afraid of him and shows him such respect, or why she insisted on staying with you tonight. Your maid, now asleep in the warmth of a room, oblivious to everything, is doing the best she can. You feel like you should ignore everything too, at least for now. Heading towards the stairs to return to your room, the sound of footsteps behind you halts you in your tracks. My lord, is something the matter? His composed demeanor starkly contrasts with the unsettling scene you just witnessed, and you swallow nervously. Swallow something else? I just wanted some chamomile tea to help me sleep. But I couldn't find anyone in the kitchen. You wonder if he realizes you're watching him. His face betrays nothing, leaving your efforts to read him futile. My lord, for such matters, simply ring the bell in your room. There's no need for you to trouble yourself coming all this way. Allow me to prepare your tea and bring it to your room. Very well. When you return to your room, everything is as you just left it. Daisy and Snow continue to sleep undisturbed. Unable to contain your restlessness, you sit on the edge of your bed. You try and distract yourself by reading a few lines from the book on your nightstand, hoping to erase a scene from the kitchen pantry from your mind. But it's no use. Your thoughts fixate on one undeniable truth. Tristian is not the person you thought you'd know for the past 5 years. Then a soft knock at your door startles you. Yet still, you respond in a calm voice. Come in. Tristian enters with a carefully arranged tray and closes the door behind him. His brows furrow momentarily as he glances at Daisy, his expression hardening in a way that would surely frighten her if she were awake. But as he approaches you, the harshness fades. You sense something different. His usual cold and unserious demeanor softens ever so slightly. Your tea, my lord. Can you come in bed? As you reach for the steaming cup, he moves first, causing you to flinch involuntarily. If you'll allow me, I'll cool it for you so you don't burn yourself. Of course. Tristian brings the cup to his lips, blowing gently to disperse the steam. Yay! You can calm down. All he's doing is just blowing on your cup. Maybe I want to blow something else if you know what I mean. Ahem. You can't stop your gaze from drifting to his mouth. His lips, rough, firm, yet oddly alluring, capture your attention. Oh, more than just his lips have captured my attention, I can assure you. It's ready, my lord. Snapping yourself out of your foolish thoughts, you take the cup from him and sip the tea. It's sweeter than the one you had in the bath, but you don't mind. You focus all your attention on the warm tea in your hands, trying to ignore the imposing figure standing beside you. It's not easy, if the tea doesn't help. I can suggest other methods to ease your sleeplessness. Startled, you meet his gaze. What sort of methods? What sort of methods, Tristian? A slow, unfamiliar smile spreads across his face. I think it's best to discuss that after you finish your tea, my lord. You're a perv. A warm shiver courses through you as you take another sip. his intense, deliberate gaze never leaving you. You try not to act hastily, not wanting to reveal how curious you are about the other method. Finally, you place the empty cup back on the tray. What are these other methods? Oh, what's happening? Instead of answering, Tristian leans closer, making your heart race uncontrollably. Before you know it, his face and his unnaturally bright eyes are just inches from yours. With Daisy in the room? Tristian, hey yo. You can feel the warmth of his breath on your skin. There's only a slight chance left for his lips to touch yours. But Tristian doesn't close that gap. He maintains a distance, his voice deeper than usual, brushing against your ears. With your permission. Oh, I don't know what it is, but I have such a thing when, like, the love interest, or, like, you know, your partner just, like, holds you by, like, the chin, or, like the jaw, or, like, the neck. It makes me, like, ooh. He runs his gloved thumb along your bottom lip, wiping away a wetness you hadn't noticed until now. His deliberate, gentle touch carries no apparent malice. Still, you can feel your face burning and a heat pooling low in your stomach. Whatever you're feeling, it's wrong. You're engaged? Oh, shit. You're gonna be married soon? Oh, hell. Tristian, as if aware of the whirlwind of emotions you're feeling, removes his hand from your face and whispers softly before standing up. I could read to you until you fall asleep, my lord. You try and hide your disappointment and avert your gaze. Thank you, Tristian. I think the tea will be more than enough. Tristian gives a slight nod and heads towards the door to leave. But as he reaches the door, he pauses for a moment and looks back at you one last time. Always at your service, my lord. For anything, right? Like anything at all? Whatever. And whenever you need. I couldn't even keep the voice until the end of the sentence. You could hear like the little giggle coming in. Whatever and whenever I need, huh? What about right here and right now, Tristian? And in the bed. You survived the day, 9 days left. A new day. No matter how long you sleep, you wake up at the same time every morning without exception and have your breakfast. After all, the rules of this house are so deeply rooted and unshakable. They control even you, the master of the estate. Still, that does not change the fact that you need them. You have no idea how things would function without them. When you leave the dining room and take your place at your writing desk, the letters you need to respond to are already waiting for you. In the winter months, the estate and its lands are wrapped in an even deeper silence under the weight of snow. No sound of the heavy door knocker announcing a visitor. No distant rumble of carriage wheels passing by. The only connection you have to the outside world are these letters. During this season, there are usually so few that reading them every couple of days and delivering the necessary replies to Tristian before noon is a simple and routine responsibility. With the ornate letter opener passed down from your father, you slice through the envelopes and glance through their contents with the ease of habit without much thought. Catalogues from the boutiques in town. You're certain your wardrobe has undergone enough changes due to the wedding. Hunting invitations from neighbouring estates. You never found fox hunting in the cold to be an enjoyable activity. A note from a maternal relative, offering their regrets for being unable to attend the wedding and sending well wishes. This serves as the final confirmation that none of your maternal relatives, those not too distant, have received invitations will be present at the ceremony. Given the distance, their reluctance to undertake such a journey in the winter is understandable. Not that it makes much difference to you. You merely fulfilled your duty as expected. A brief update from your lawyer awaiting your instructions regarding a few minor issues related to the properties. That you can easily leave to Tristian. And a dinner invitation dated today from the Red Heart Manor. The Red Heart Manor belongs to your closest neighbors, your fiancé and his family. For the past few months, you have politely declined every invitation you receive, citing poor health due to the season. For a moment, you consider doing the same with this one. After all, the letter states that it's merely a small, intimate dinner. Ink spills from the tip of your pen on the paper, forming a series of well-rehearsed words, apologies, and another refusal. Just as you're about to finish your letter, you hear a knock at the door and lift your head. Come in. Contrary to your expectations, it is not the butler who enters but your maid carrying a silver tray, followed closely by Snow who dashes into the room. I have brought you tea and some refreshments, my lord. You try to recall when you had made such a request. Yet as you attempt to remember, even the moment grows hazy in your mind and you forget why you were writing the letter in front of you in the first place. Seeing the bewilderment on your face, Daisy's eyebrows lift in alarm. Last time you said a single plate of refreshments would be enough, as long as there were no guests. Or at least I thought that's what you said, my lord. If you prefer, I can ask them to prepare a large serving tray right away. Your dog, after allowing himself to be petted for a while, devouring the biscuit Daisy had accidentally dropped to the floor, quickly moves away from you and heads to the burning fireplace. You shake yourself, as if rousing from sleep. The letters, petting your dog, Daisy's arrival with the tray. It all re-emerges in your mind as nothing more than the links in a chain of routine, a cycle that appears without the need of any request. No, Daisy, Thank you for doing exactly as I asked. But what about that moment of forgetfulness? It feels as though the exhaustion in your body is seeping into your mind. You push the thought aside and return to your letters without delay. As Daisy, relieved from her early nervousness, sets the tray down on the table, her eyes catch one of the opened envelopes. Her enthusiastic voice slices through the quiet ambience of the small study like a blade. I didn't know you were writing to Lord Oscar. My lord, please forgive me for interrupting. Unfortunately, the words you pen lack the romance and passion she's likely imagining. You're well aware of how betas romanticize Omega and Alpha marriages, envisioning them as bonds of the perfect compatibility, intense attraction, unwavering devotion. In reality, these unions forged for power and status require no such conditions. Still, in this moment, you realize something important about Oscar's letter, something that nearly escaped your notice. The problem lies in the handwriting. This dinner invitation was not written or signed by your fiancé, but someone else, merely posing as him. Oscar's action is either a gross act of negligence or a blatant display of disrespect. Oh no, do we have trouble already? That's fine. What if I just want Tristian instead? Or perhaps both? Taking the letter you wrote to your fiancé in hand, you rise from your chair and approach the fireplace. Just before you let the paper slip into the rising flames, you turn to Daisy. Could you summon Tristian for me? Of course, my lord. As you watch the letter ignite with a sharp hiss and crumble into ash, your thoughts begin to crowd your mind, filling the silence Daisy leaves behind as she parts. You're well aware that the communication between you and Oscar has dwindled as the wedding approaches, but you're unsure which of you is more at fault for that. Before the marriage decision was announced to you, the familiarity of being neighbors with Oscar, along with the social ties of belonging to the same circle, should have naturally fostered a smooth, effortless bond between you. At least that's what your guardians had told you. Yet now you can feel that bond stretch thin, on the verge of snapping at any moment. And if it does, you have no idea what awaits you on the other side. The only certainty is that your guardians and your place in society will not approve, and that you must attend this dinner tonight. A firm commanding knock echoes through the small salon, drawing your gaze towards the entrance. There you see Tristian. You cannot stop the heat from rising to your cheeks, independent of the warmth of the fire, as last night's events surface in your mind. The Tristian you've known for 5 years, a man of steady reason and restraint, had revealed a side both unsettling and inviting. Oh, Winter. You like the unsettling nature of Tristian? I know what you are. Freak. Same though. It was a disorienting contrast. Thankfully, you managed to quell the feeling before he approaches. As Tristian bows before you with his usual precision, you notice his gaze lingering on you with more scrutiny than usual, as though he's assessing whether you are still under the influence of yesterday's hallucinations. To be fair, you cannot say for certain. You summoned me, my lord. I am at your service, and I hope you're feeling better today than you did yesterday. You respond in a steady voice, motioning towards the writing desk. I am. Tristian, thank you. The letters are ready for delivery. You may take them from my desk. But before I respond to the lawyer, I want to hear your thoughts. You catch the way Tristian's golden eyes narrow slightly, realizing that this will be no different from any of your usual conversations. His gaze shifts swiftly from you to the desk as he moves towards it, prepared to carry out your request. Yet before leaning over the scattered envelopes and letters, he hesitates. You have no doubt that Daisy already informed him of what had transpired. The letter from your fiancé, your response, and the fact that you burned it. The lawyer's letter is in the corner. Tristian, bowing his head, sheds his pretended hesitation in approaching your desk, filled with personal correspondence, encouraged by this implicit approval. Still, for a fleeting moment, his eyes drift elsewhere, somewhere other than the lawyer's letter. But the moment passes quickly. The issues in the letter seem to be more serious than stated. If I may offer my humble opinion, it will be wisest in the trusted person to assess the situation before granting the lawyer the approval he seeks. His ever-calm voice makes it easy to trust him without question. After all, in these 5 years, you've never encountered a reason not to. Until very soon? Not even last night changed the fact that he remains a reliable butler. That is true, and he also has a very tiny waist. Though his methods were surprising. You may handle this as you see fit, Tristian, but I believe it must be done swiftly. I will go to town this afternoon to take care of the necessary correspondence, my lord. There is no need for concern. I will also speak with a few hunters from the village regarding the wolf problem in the forest. And I've already given the kitchen staff proper instructions regarding your dog's diet. I do not believe we will encounter that issue again. If there is anything else you require, my lord, you need only say the word. In the silence that follows, the soft rhythmic breathing of Snow dozing by the fire fills the room. It is clear that with these tasks, Tristian will not be able to accompany you to Red Heart Manor tonight. Oh no, I want to see the two alphas fight it out. Though you're not accustomed to traveling alone, the mutual dissatisfaction between your fiancé and your butler makes Tristian's absence the more appropriate choice for this dinner. Oh, they've already fought? After a brief hesitation, you make your decision. Have the coachman prepare for the evening, Tristian. I will be attending dinner at the Red Heart Manor. For a fleeting moment, something like surprise flashes through Tristian's golden eyes, an expression you're not used to seeing from him. Yet his voice remains composed, unwavering. "Forgive me, my lord. Did you mean this evening?" I did. Please see to your tasks. I will go alone. You know Tristian cannot press the matter outright, so he takes another approach. My lord, forgive my impertinence, but with the heavy recent snowfall, I have concerns about whether the road to Red Hot Manor is passable for carriage. Had there been more time, I would have sent someone else ahead to inspect it. In this weather, there's a high risk of your carriage getting stuck in the snow or, God forbid, an accident occurring. His words unsettle you. The thought of the carriage was sinking into an unseen ditch, of the axles breaking, of the horses panicking and injuring themselves. For someone who does not enjoy travel to begin with, these are not mere inconveniences. They are a nightmare, especially given your recent exhaustion and the hallucinations. But the dinner is important. You must see your fiancé soon, before the impression that you have neglected him takes root. Are you suggesting I go on horseback instead? Tristian knows better than anyone that you do not get along with horses, and that you would never willingly ride one in this weather. He understands the irony in your voice, and for a moment his expression darkens. You do not mean to wound him, only to remind him that he must respect your decisions. I misspoke, my lord. Of course it is my duty to ensure your travel safely. Whenever and wherever you wish, I believe it would be best for a rider to accompany the carriage, ensuring the coachman is informed of the road's condition in advance and keeping watch over you. This will make it easier to send for help, or turn back should anything go amiss. Additionally, I will ensure that provisions, blankets, and anything necessary for your comfort during the journey are prepared. I am certain you'll reach Red Hot Manor without issue. His words instill enough confidence in you to commit to the journey, even if his expression suggests otherwise. Lately, you not only lost trust in others but in yourself. Perhaps this trip will help you reclaim some of it, or at least you wish to believe so. Later in the day, though Tristian is no longer at the manor, the instructions you left behind ensure that everything progresses seamlessly. By the time the coachman informs you that all preparations are complete, you leave your room ready to depart. Though dinner is still hours away, everyone including yourself agrees that it's best to set out early. Daisy follows you with eager steps, seeing you off. Though she is the only one pleased about your attendance at this dinner, you find a small sense of relief in that. Well, her and Snow, who excitedly dashes around your feet expecting an evening walk. If dinner stretches late into the night, please do not rush back, my lord. I am certain Lord Oscar would be kind enough to offer you accommodations for the night. The thought gives you pause. You recall that, until now, neither your fiancé nor you have ever spent the night at each other's mansions. Considering that your neighbours, that is quite surprising. No doubt, Daisy, still caught up in her delight, does not notice the irony in your tone. If that is the case, you will need a maid to assist you. Lord Oscar will surely assign the best in his household to attend to you. But no matter who he chooses, she will not be me. If you wish, I can prepare at once to accompany you, my lord. As the servant pulls the door open, the wind rushes in, carrying the frigid air of the outside world into the entryway. The sudden chill coupled with your brief hesitation delays your response for a moment longer than intended. Unlike Tristian, Daisy will undoubtedly spend the entire journey chattering about the upcoming wedding without pause. That's very thoughtful of you, Daisy, but I may not need the company. I might not even wish to complete the journey to Red Hot Manor. Daisy, struggling to keep Snow from darting outside, stares at you in bewilderment, momentarily at a loss of words. You don't wish to shatter her romantic notions so bluntly, but you continue regardless. Please look after Snow while I'm gone. Before your resolve can falter, you swiftly descend the manor steps and head towards the waiting carriage. Why do I sense that me and my fiancé are going to fight it out? As you settle into the carriage, the door shuts behind you with a firm thud, sealing you away from the cold and the dim, heavy silence of the winter night. Everything inside has been prepared for your comfort. Several thick blankets, overflowing with refreshments, and a few books you recently acquired but have yet to read. They should be enough to keep you preoccupied. Man, Tristian is so good. The carriage lurches forward, beginning its journey. For a while, you find yourself gazing outside, watching as the high garden walls of the estate fade into the dense woods beyond. The snow drapes over the trees, covering the branches in a pale bluish-white shroud. It is a breathtaking sight, one that is both enchanting and unsettling. Then a sharp, thin, fragmented sound cuts through the stillness. Your ears strain to catch its source. But before you can pinpoint it, a dark figure moves in the depths of the forest. You don't know how long it's been there, but the moment your gaze lands upon it, it vanishes as if aware that you have seen it. A trick of the eye, perhaps. Yet an uneasy shiver runs through you as if unseen eyes are still watching. Most likely it was a poacher who wandered into the woods and feared being caught, that must be all. Or maybe it's Tristian himself because he's actually weird. Will you draw the curtains over the windows before returning your focus to the book in your lap, skimming through the pages without absorbing a single word? At first, you barely notice the subtle deceleration of the carriage. It's only when the horses come to a full stop that your grip on the book tightens. The muffled sound of boots crunching through the snow draws closer. Your heart pounds though you keep your gaze trained on the book. And then the door creaks open and a familiar face from the manor stands before you, the rider who had accompanied your journey. The one the coachman had called Rudolph. His silvery hair glows faintly under the light, a striking resemblance to Tristian's. You suspect he too must have come from one of the villages surrounding the estate. As your gaze lingers on him longer than intended, a sudden realization strikes you. Last night, he was in the kitchen pantry, and he was kneeling, wrapped tightly against the bitter cold. Only his eyes are visible beneath the layers. There's no way to tell if the punishment from last night has left any marks, but you know it was him. Curiosity prickles at you. You don't know what he did to warrant such discipline. But of course you cannot ask him. What? The road is nearly blocked with snow, and there's bound to be ice that hasn't been used much lately. If we continue, we'll have to slow down significantly, my lord. Tristian's warnings proving accurate once again does little to ease your frustration. Even if you press on, it's clear you'll be late for dinner at this pace. As you weigh your options, a sound, thin and fractured and aching, cuts through the silence. It startles you. This time it echoes deeper within the woods, but the shadow you catch it now, pressed against the trunk of a tree much closer than before. Your hand lifts, almost of its own accord, pointing it out to Rudolph before your mind can register the movement. Yet the moment he turns to look, it's already gone. The rustling branches stirred by the wind whisper through the trees. That eerie sensation creeps up your spine again. Who is it? This time you're certain. Something, or someone, has been watching you for the entire journey. And if not, then the alternative is that it's all in your mind. Yeah, well, I don't believe that. I prefer it to be something. And I prefer it to be Tristian, who's actually unhinged. You force yourself to move with measured caution as you look back to Rudolph. Did you hear that just now? His response is immediate. Of course, my lord. Likely a predator. I couldn't quite place it, but in this weather, anything you saw was probably it. They say the numbers have grown significantly in the forest lately. What are they looking for? His eyes gleam as he answers. Food, my lord. Just like the rest of us. But there's no need for concern. We have rifles with us. He pauses before adding, where's your decision? Shall we turn back or do we continue forward? Alright, this time we are gonna keep going, and then we'll turn back next time. Your words cause the young man's eyes to cloud with unease, but he merely lowers his head slightly, unable to oppose you. As you command, my lord. I'll inform the coachman immediately. As the door closes, the narrow enclosed space of the carriage fills you with a sense of safety and warmth, offering you some comfort. But you know it won't last forever. With nightfall and the dropping temperatures and growing fatigue, this will make the journey increasingly difficult. And yet thinking of Oscar's indifferent and mocking nature, you doubt he sees much significance in this arduous trip. You were just about to tell the coachman to turn back, when despite not having travelled too far, the carriage suddenly lurches forward with alarming speed. It takes only for a moment for you to realize this isn't the coachman's doing. You're sliding on ice. Uh-oh. Thrown off balance, you instinctively reach for something to hold onto, but it's useless. You fall onto the carriage floor. Fortunately, the thick pile of blankets cushioning your landing spares you from any serious harm. At the same time, the horses manage to come to an abrupt halt, managing to stop the carriage. Your heart pounds so violently that the sound roars in your ears, nearly drowning out the noise of the carriage door opening. My lord, I'm fine. Rudolph exhales in relief as he realizes you're unharmed, merely tangled in thick blankets. With his help, you stand and step out of the tilted carriage. Though your breath fogs your vision, it doesn't take long to grasp the situation. The carriage has veered off the road, crashing through the trees, and the horses are now buried up to their bodies in the snow-covered bog. A wave of regret burns through you like fire. While the other two assess the situation, you remain silent but merely listening. We should go find help. Don't be ridiculous. By the time help arrives, the horses will be dead. Shut up and help me. With Rudolph's assistance, the coachman manages to unfasten the horses from their harnesses and straighten the carriage. But saving the horses will take far more effort. Standing in the roadside, watching them struggle, you can feel the weight of their stolen glances, the silent accusations pressing down on you. Guilt and unease settle on your shoulders like an unbearable burden. You cannot shake the feeling that something worse is coming. That something hidden in the darkness lurking behind the trees is watching you, but you can't point out every shadow that surrounds you. You can't burden them with yet another problem. Helplessly, you retreat into the carriage and wait. Despite the comfort it offers, at the moment, the carriage feels no different from a cage. With no other way to distract yourself, you pick up the book once more, trying to drown out your thoughts, suddenly finding yourself in darkness. Your first reaction is confusion, but the weight of the book resting in your lap makes you realize you must have dozed off while reading. Uh-oh. After what happened in the bathtub yesterday, you have no idea how you managed to fall asleep so easily outside in the middle of the forest. This time, it feels as if you merely blinked, yet exhaustion still clings to you. Then, an eerie shiver crawls over your skin, unrelated to the cold. Only now do you notice the carriage is still not moving, but the sky is already pitch black. The only sound, the howling of wind. Your instincts scream at you not to step outside. But what about the silence, the stillness? Do not go outside. Winter? Summoning your courage, you push the blankets off your trembling hands and crack the carriage door open. Snowflakes drift gently, brushing against your face, but the silence greeting you is far from soothing. The trees around you, cloaked in deepening shadows, seem larger, misshapen and distorted. I suppose Rudolph was right. We need to call for help. As you step to the front of the carriage, your words freeze in the air just like your breath. The horses stand ready, harnessed and prepared to depart. Then what are they waiting for? More importantly, where are the others? Your gaze darts around in growing dread. You know without absolute certainty that they wouldn't have left you here alone, which means if something emerged while you were asleep in the carriage, you try to reassure yourself by recalling Rudolph's words. They had rifles. He told you not to worry, yet the whisper from deep within tells you that their rifles might be no more useful than a child's toy. Oh my god! The moon above spills its cold silver light onto the road, making the snow glisten like the path to a fairy tale realm. But something mars this enchanting scene. A stain. A deep crimson stain that unsettles your senses far too much. Lifting your hand, you see more of them ahead. Dozens of them. No, it can't be. Impossible. They must belong to some poor animal. The others must have encountered something urgent. Something that required them to leave suddenly. They'll be back any moment now. Tristian is going to kill them. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot bring yourself to believe this hopeful scenario. Your steps instinctively urge you to back away to the safety of the carriage, yet guilt anchors you in place. If only you had been reasonable. If only you had turned back before the accident. If only you had never set out at all. An animal. Just an animal, it has to be. But no matter what you tell yourself, the truth seeps into your bones like the melting crimson stains spreading through snow. Your heart pounds wildly, as if it might burst from your ribs. Every fibre of your being screams at you to retreat. Get back inside, lock the door and wait. But for how long? Tristian will find you surely. He always does. But what if something else finds you first? There's no way out. The red trail beckons you deeper into the forest, pulling you forward against your better judgment. No, listen to your better judgment, stay in the carriage. It's also cold, you were not dressed for this weather. Until you see it. A pool of blood beneath a tree trunk. And in its center, a man lying motionless as if dead. Rudolph? Even before stepping closer, you know it's Rudolph. Your hands fly to your mouth, trapping the scream that turns a hard lump in your throat. No. God, please. Despite the burning in your lungs from the uneven breaths, despite the sharp ache twisting through your muscles, you desperately want to believe this is not real. A hallucination maybe, like yesterday. But no matter how many times you blink, the scene before you does not change. Then you notice that the weak rise and fall of his chest, he's still breathing. Rudolph, how could he still be alive after losing so much blood? At that moment, the sound of snapping branches reaches your ears, and a shadow emerges suddenly among the trees like a ghost. It moves so fast that you have no chance to scream or run, you're completely trapped. As if your body is no longer under your control, your legs suddenly refuse to support you, and you collapse onto your knees. Like a prey ready to be hunted, you should have never come to this forest. The only thing under your control is your mouth. You manage to move your lips. No, you can't eat me. I'm not food. Uh-oh. As the shadow draws closer, its terrifying bulk shrinks down to human proportions, and the eerie silence of the forest is broken by a powerful, energetic laugh. I'm sure you're not food, my dear. At the very least, I'll take a well-seasoned venison steak over you. You got my hopes up for nothing. Oh, wow. Oh, is that my fiancé? Hey, yo. Oh no, do I want Tristian or do I want him? How about both? Can I have two alphas? A moment later, the shadow becomes clearer. His jacket, the ornate hunting rifle in his hand, the blood-red gleam of his hair in the darkness and the sharp cut of his jawline. All the details that make him Oscar, your fiancé. Unlike the last time you saw him surrounded by luxury and grandeur at a lavish gathering, you now find him standing in the cold, dark depths of the forest. For a moment, your mind struggles to comprehend it. You even fear that he might be a hallucination, and yet despite the rising tide of fear in you, there's an odd sense of relief that cuts through it. A moment later, your voice returns. Oscar, please help me. There's something in this forest following me. I felt like I was being watched since the beginning of my journey. But I thought I was imagining things. But it already attacked Rudolph. Look at him, he's lying there covered in blood. It could come back any moment. As Oscar's long hunting boots crunch through the snow, you lift your gaze to him. Yet despite everything you just said, he doesn't seem concerned at all. Instead, under the moonlight, his smirk becomes even more pronounced. My dear, I can understand why you're so excited to see me. What? Oscar, you're very hot, but I am terrified. And my friend is dying. But I have no idea what nonsense you're spouting. If you're done with your greetings, get up already. You hesitate for a moment before taking his outstretched hand. There's no other choice. Oscar pulls you up with a force stronger than you expected. And now that you're standing closer, you can get a better look at his face, especially his eyes. Despite the nonchalance in his voice, you realize he's carefully studying you. Good. You didn't hit your head anywhere. For a second, you almost had me worried. You try to calm yourself, but your voice comes out fast and frantic. Oscar, are you even listening to me? I'm serious. Look at Rudolph. You stop mid-sentence as your eyes fall on Rudolph, realizing something horrifying. The pool of blood surrounding him is gone, as if it had just evaporated into thin air. Just like what happened in the cemetery. And in the bathroom, Oscar, noticing your silence, crouches beside the man lying in the snow. Rudolph? I was almost sure his name was something ridiculous like Tristian. Whatever. Shit, he's not dead. I thought you finally decided to get rid of him and brought him to my estate to bury him. Your mind comes to a complete halt that you don't know what to think anymore. The only thing you're certain of is that Rudolph is your priority. Please, Stop joking and help me figure out what's wrong with him. Do I look like a doctor to you, darling? Do I look like a doctor to you, darling? Despite his exasperated tone, Oscar sets his rifle aside and checks Rudolph's pulse before turning him onto his side to examine him. It doesn't take him long to realize that this man is not your butler. Oh, another white-haired man. Your preferences truly leave me speechless, dear. Looks like he's just passed out. Though if he stays like this so much longer, he'll freeze to death. Even though your mind is full of questions, Oscar's words bring a small relief in the middle of this wretched journey. You eagerly speak up. My carriage is nearby, we can carry him there. For a brief moment, the mockery in Oscar's eyes dims. My dear, may I remind you, I'm your fiancé, not your servant. Okay, yes, I am aware, but are we not going to help him? You must be confusing me with someone else. Then step aside and let me do it. Your defiant tone makes his eyes glimmer, and soon enough you hear the amusement in his voice. Oh really? Please go ahead, dear. I can't wait to see how you manage to carry him all on your own. Poor thing. I really feel bad for him. You should have known that a remark like this wouldn't faze him. Still determined to stand your ground, you ignore him and kneel beside Rudolph. Sweating and struggling, you manage to lift him slightly by his arm. Before you can do more, Oscar's hand cuts in sharply. Leave him. I've no interest in dealing with two corpses in the middle of a forest. Without another word, he retrieves the rifle he had placed on the ground and takes a few steps from you. A sudden flash of fire pierces the darkness, followed by the deafening crack of gunpowder. It doesn't take much to realize he just fired a shot to signal his location. Soon enough, the shadows surrounding you stir, followed by the sound of approaching voices. Did you get it, Oscar? Was it a big deal? You'll see for yourself, it's lying right over there. As the first shadow emerges into the moonlight, you recognize the man's face from the lavish parties you've attended. But now in the forest's gloom, he looks vastly different. His features are tense with urgency. Bloody hell, did you shoot a man? I need help getting rid of the body. A tense silence lasts only for a moment, before Oscar's lips curl into that signature twisted smirk. Yeah, you're too easy to fool, you know, it's not even fun anymore. As Oscar's hunting party reaches you, you finally learn where your missing coachman had been. One of the approaching figures steps forward, his outline illuminated by the lantern glow, and you recognize him instantly. By the time we got the horses free, it was already too dark. Continuing on would have been dangerous. When I heard the gunshot, I thought Lord Oscar might be out hunting. Since Rudolph wasn't familiar with Lord Oscar's men, I went to ask for help. He insisted he wouldn't leave your side. I can't understand why he would be so reckless. Since Rudolph remains unconscious, there's no way to get an answer. As you make your way back to the carriage, the glow of the lanterns held by Oscar's men failed to reveal any traces of the red stains that led you to Rudolph. Instead of easing your fear, this only makes it worse. If it was all in your head, then how did you manage to find Rudolph when there's not a single trace of him left behind? And why is this carriage door open? Did you forget to close it? Did the wind blow it open? Or had the shadow been there? Had it looked inside to find you? A fresh wave of fear washes over you. Even now, you still feel like you're being watched. As long as you remain in this forest, you doubt you'll ever be free of that feeling. Even as a child, a single glance at the woods beyond your bedroom window had been enough to send chills down your spine. Now you vow to keep the curtains tightly shut on every future journey. Once inside the carriage, your gaze drifts to Rudolph, bundled up in thick blankets and fast asleep in the corner, and you can't help but recall that vivid crimson still warm blood. From outside, you hear Oscar's deep voice carrying over the hushed whispers of the hunting party. Edgar, show the coachman the shortcut to our estate. Let the poor horses catch their breath. This little rescue mission has exhausted me. I'll be riding inside the carriage with my future spouse. Future spouse. I wonder who will eventually actually like me. Without delay, the carriage door swings open, letting in the cold night air as Oscar steps inside. The crimson of his hair and clothes unsettles you, but you try to ignore it. And of course, you already know he'll bypass Rudolph entirely and sit beside you. Bracing yourself with discomfort, you inch as close to the window as possible, hoping to put as much space between you as the narrow seat allows. Oh, he's so pretty. Oscar notices your subtle retreat. Yet despite settling into his seat with his usual nonchalance, he does not close the distance. A rare courtesy, or perhaps a subtle confirmation of the distance that has grown between you lately. As the carriage lurches forward again, you close your eyes, willing the rest of the cursed journey to pass quickly. But then the rustle of the food basket, a sharp crunch. Oscar has found an apple and wasted no time biting into it. And then predictably, his voice, ever unrelenting, fills the carriage once more. You must have forgotten that his mouth never ceases to work. Oh, really? That's some good knowledge that we can save for the future, huh? I'll put his mouth to work. My god. What a comfortable little carriage. Your blankets, a well-stocked food basket, and even some ridiculous book about necromancy. Though personally, I would prefer a more thrilling and pleasurable pastime. Uh-huh. Pray tell, I like how I've just closed my eyes. I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this man. I don't want to deal with him, he's so infuriating. God, his hands look so big. Your eyes snap open sharp with warning. Oscar meets your gaze with an expression so innocent it could almost pass for sincere. I only meant conversation, of course. For instance, you still haven't told me what you were doing on my land so late at night, my dear. A part of you concedes that given his aid in this situation, A little gratitude might be warranted. I assume you would have figured that out. I was on my way to Red Hot Manor for your dinner invitation. For the first time, true surprise flickers across Oscar's face. I don't recall inviting you to dinner. In fact, I don't recall hosting a dinner at all. Just a quiet meal with a few relatives and friends as usual. Now it's your turn to be caught off guard. I didn't know that. I received a letter bearing your family seal written and signed by you. Of course, you conveniently skip over the part where the handwriting doesn't match his. The realization that this entire journey may have been for nothing gnaws at you. You fix your gaze on him, waiting for a reaction, but Oscar merely takes another exaggerated bite of his apple, then without an ounce of shame tosses the half-eaten fruit back into the basket. Tristian would kick your ass! His indifference returns like a well-worn mask. Must have been the steward, which means my mother told him to. You know how the old woman is half the time. Can't even make sense of what she's up to. Lady Diana, Oscar's mother, is a formidable alpha in her own right, the true ruler of Red Hart Manor and its lands. Though you know that Oscar has taken full control due to her declining health. How long that will last remains uncertain. Naturally, as a devoted fiancé, I would never have subjected my delicate and ailing betrothed to such an exhausting journey had I known. And yet, this devoted fiancé never thought to check on my well-being himself despite hearing I was unwell. For a brief moment, Oscar's ever-mocking expression falters. Then with a slight lift of his brows, his smirk returns. Frankly, I assumed it was just an excuse to avoid me. I still do. Can you really blame me for thinking that? You grit your teeth, forcing yourself not to rise to his arrogance. You should be prepared for this by now, but somehow he still manages to infuriate you. There's some good chemistry going on at the moment. Yes, because when I said I wasn't well, I actually meant it. You weren't even on my mind. And you do look perfectly fine now, my dear. Oh, do I? Still, as a concerned fiancé, I would never allow you or your men to set out on another journey tonight. Oh, but look, we've arrived. With a flourish, Oscar pulls back the curtain. Perched atop the steep hillside, Red Hart Manor looms against the night sky. Its dark silhouette swallowing the light from the carriage lanterns. The sight leaves you momentarily stunned. How had you arrived so soon? Any lingering doubts about Oscar's so-called shortcut vanish. Welcome, my dear. Welcome to the Red Heart. At long last, your journey is ended. And yet deep inside, you can't shake the question. How will the night pass? To be continued. No, I want to see the rest. Oh, right. I think there are like some other endings that we can actually get. So I'm going to try and see those. Alright, let's see what happens when we check the grave. Not every grave. You know there's just sheer foolishness that you press on. I want to check that grave. Tristian's hesitant gaze shifts between you and the hill. My lord, if you'll allow it, I'll check that grave myself. There's no need for you to trouble yourself in this weather. I need to see it with my own eyes. Stubbornness isn't the trait you're usually known for. Yet the firmness in your voice leaves Tristian with little choice. Please, my lord, stay as close to me as possible. The ground might be icy. Nodding quickly to brush off his concerns, your thoughts are consumed by one thing. The origin of the Crimson Lily. Perhaps that's why, even though you haven't gotten far, you fail to notice the freshly covered snow pit right in front of you. It all happens in a fleeting moment right after you let go of Tristian's arm to adjust your coat. As soon as you step forward, the dry grass barely covering the pit crackles under your weight and gives way, and in the blink of an eye you find yourself in the cold pit. This place too far narrow for a grave makes it impossible for you to get out on your own. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long for Tristian to rush to your aid and pull you out. However, as you hurry back home in the carriage, the numbing effect of the cold begins to wear off and the pain in your leg intensifies to a level you can no longer ignore. The doctor, hastily summoned to the manor, informs you that your condition is worse than you thought. There's no choice but to postpone the wedding. Unlike your fiancé and his family who rushed to the mansion upon hearing the bad news, you can't say this little accident has made you particularly unhappy. After all, while the entire household and your fiancé dote on you, eagerly awaiting your recovery, you now have the perfect excuse to spend the snowy winter days confined to your bed. If only it weren't for the pain. Ending 1, your wedding is postponed. No! But also yes, I suppose? Alright, what if we don't drink the tea this time? Since you aren't the one who requested this tea to be prepared in the first place, you ignore the steaming cup. You can't allow Tristian to control you like the others. The warmth of the water in the tub soon relaxes all your muscles, wrapping your body in a sweet lethargy. Sleep envelops you, inevitably and pleasantly closing your eyes. When you open your eyes, you have no recollection of how long you drifted off. Judging by the lukewarm water in the tub, it couldn't have been for too long. You sit up, reaching for a towel nearby to dry off and slip into your robe before leaving the bathroom. As you walk through the corridor to your room, you notice something so peculiar in the silence that surrounds you. A sound. Somewhere between a growl and a rumble. It reminds you of both an animal breathing and a machine operating. Curiosity sparks as you head to the end of the hallway where the growling noise becomes noticeably louder. You try and guess where in the manor the sound could be coming from. Descending the stairs, you notice that no one seems to be around. Where is everyone? Daisy? The mansion is enveloped in a terrifying sense of abandonment, save for you and the sound of your footsteps echoing through the halls. The wheezing noises seem to concentrate near the staircase leading down to the basement. You never ventured into the underground cellars before. You heard from Daisy it's filled with rats and a multitude of forgotten old items. You also know that Tristian, unlike the previous butler, has an interest in new machines to make work easier, though many of them end up broken and left to rust down there. The staff must be down there now tending to a new machine under Tristian's orders. Just as you're about to head back to your room, a sudden curiosity takes a hold of you. Oh no. You slowly descend the mansion's ancient stairs. The dim light makes it hard to see, but you eventually reach a damp and cold space at the bottom. The wheezing grows louder, transforming into a hum that reverberates through the walls. You're no longer sure if the source of this noise is a machine. Is anyone there? Tristian? The shadows around you seem to multiply, but there's no response. Your heartbeat quickens. Your breathing turns ragged, and you decide to abandon this unpleasant curiosity. But it's too late. One of the shadows move, lunging towards you, but your instincts kick in and you manage to dodge until your foot catches on something on the ground. You fall and the sharp blow to your head happens in an instant. Before your vision fades, one thing becomes clear. The shadows. They're not human. Ending 2. You're reunited with your family. Damn it! I kind of feel like the last ending is if you choose to turn back from the manor, so let's try and do that. Alright, it would be best to turn back before it gets too late. The young man dips his head in acknowledgement and you sense that he too is relieved. You can't blame him. This journey has become nothing more than a treacherous gamble and neither of you can predict what lies ahead. As you wish, my lord. I will inform the coachman at once. The door shuts, sealing you once more in the confined warmth of the carriage. The enclosed space provides a sense of comfort, if only temporary. A thought tugs at your mind. You never sent word to your fiancé about missing dinner. Yet you easily push aside the concern knowing you made the right decision. The shadow in the forest had undeniably influenced your choice. Whether it was a poacher, a predator, or a mere trick of the light, the carriage jolts as the horses are urged to turn back. The motion is rough, though brief, and you hardly pay it any mind. You just want to go home. Daisy would undoubtedly be disappointed by your early return, and she'll surely make it known for quite some time, but the thought of home fills you with quiet relief. A flicker of impulse urges you to part the curtains once more, and then a figure. A stark silhouette against the pristine snow. It does not vanish this time. It lingers. Any doubt of its reality dissolves as your heart hammers in your chest. Oh, Jesus! And then it moves, and in a horrifying instant, it's charging towards you. Your lips part in terror, but no sound escapes. You're too late to cry out and too late to warn the others. The distance between you disappears in the blink of an eye. A monstrous guttural growl fills your ears. This isn't the first time you've heard it. You remember the sound and the terror that came with it. Darkness. Damp, suffocating cold. But where and when? The memory is too fragmented to place. You tightly shut your eyes to avoid witnessing this dreadful moment. The carriage shudders violently under an unnatural force. Your body is thrown against the other side of the carriage as the horses scream in fear. The coachman curses ceaselessly, but no amount of skill can steady the panicked beast. A second impact. Wood splinters. And this time, a sharp crack of gunfire is followed by something far more sickening. The brittle snap of a body colliding with the carriage's frame. Before you can understand what is happening, pain blooms through your limbs. And then nothing. You wake to a world that offers no answers. Unlike the others, you somehow survive, but how? The doctors determined from your injuries, the fractures, the scars, that it must have been an animal attack. The horses, spooked beyond control, must have lost their footing on the icy roads leading to the catastrophe. You struggle to believe them because you saw it. You know it was more than a wild animal, yet few are willing to listen. Tristian, it's good to see you again. Even Tristian, who found you by chance while traveling the same road back from town, does not entertain your suspicions. But that is not your only problem. The doctors are certain you will never walk again. A single foolish decision has cost 2 innocent lives and your legs. No amount of regret will ever change that, but at least this time you know what must be done. During his last visit to the estate, you tell your fiancé the truth. This marriage will only be a burden to you, Oscar. I have no right to ask this of you. You are free of your promise. His smile is light, but his gaze is razor sharp. How thoughtful of you, my dear. I came here to tell you the very same thing. Isn't it wonderful how we can agree without speaking, at the very least? I'll always remember you fondly, and every time I hunt I shall send you the finest catch. The most exquisite, the most untouched. His gaze settled deliberately on your neck, on the scar left by the predator. Every time you recall it, your skin prickles. It's a miracle you survived the creature in this state, if you truly survived it at all. Your wedding is cancelled. God damn it! That was interesting though. Although, the last ending made me a bit sad because Oscar's just like, it seems like Oscar was sending that hunting gift to mock you because like you had your neck grazed by the predator, which is usually where like an Omega's bonding mark is, and that makes me kind of sad. But overall, this was really good. I really like this. I first saw this when they only had one MC option and one love interest. So it was really nice to see that they've also added a second one, and that the 2 love interests, which I assume are both alphas, I'm assuming Tristian is an alpha. They both hate each other. So I am very, very excited to see how that plays out. Tristian himself also really intrigues me as well, because he definitely gives that vibe of like a devoted butler like Sebastian, but much more like stoic. And he's definitely hiding something. I saw in the comments that somebody asked if Tristian was going to be a yandere. And the devs didn't reply with anything save for the like sussy eye emoji, so I'm wondering if he's actually going to take that turn because I will actually be very, very interested to see what he will do to make sure that you don't marry this other alpha and that he can keep you by your side. So I cannot wait for that. But thank you so much for being so patient with me, especially when I'm sick as well. As I hope you guys enjoyed the adventure as much as I did. And if you guys did enjoy this, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And also, if you want access to my spicy art, exclusive playthroughs, and uncut reactions to spicy scenes, check out my Patreon, link is in the description box below. But that's all for now. Thank you so much again for being here, and until next time, take care.